Where's the video?
Like the night at the Roxbury. We're doing the.
I love this, man. Thank you, Joe. This is fantastic. Hello, everyone. My name is Martin Valko. I'm here with my law partner and my partner in crime, Nick Chavez. I'm in our Dallas office, and Nick is in our Fort Worth office. I am back. I've been out for a couple of weeks. I was out in Europe, Slovakia, Italy, saw some of my family, and had a little bit of R&R, and I'm glad to be back. We are doing our weekly wrap up. Nick and I, we try to do it every Friday afternoon to give you a rundown of most important topics and policies across the immigration law world. What's going on, Nick? How you been?
Good. I still have that lead up music playing in my head. Mm-hmm.
That's Joe, fantastic.
Play it again.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's jump in. We have quite a bit of topics to cover. So the first off, I believe there was an announcement on the response to typically request for evidence, any type of communication where the agency is missing documentation or there were some omissions, so they ask you to respond within certain period. And so I think this is again COVID-19 related extension. I believe this is number 3 or 4. So they're adding 60 days to these requests, notices, and they have to be issued between March 1st, 2020 and October 23rd of 2022. Mm-hmm. And they are basically allowing additional 60 days to the original response time. So if you were giving 30 days, you can add additional 60 days. And that's your typical request for evidence, notice of intent to deny, notice of intent to revoke. There is an additional 30 days, so 90 days from issuance of the decision for the notices of appeal and also the notices to appeal a denied naturalization application. So I believe those were the two points, the main points. But again, you can look it up on USCIS.gov and see it there. I also wanted to let you guys know about the extension of the temporary protected status TPS for Syria. It will begin on August 1st of 2022. It will be for additional 18 months. So the designation of TPS for Syria will be extended for additional 18 months from October 1st, 2022 through, March 31st of 2024 for the existing beneficiaries. Just to recap, you or the Syrian nationals must have been physically present in the U.S. since March 19th of 2021. And there are also redesignation, and you have to, continuously residing since July of 28 of 2022. So physical presence, March 19 of 2022, and then continuous residence from July of 28 of 2022. What's the other one is the USCIS issue policy alert on TPS and eligibility for adjustment of status. Nick, you want to take that?
Yeah. So if y'all remember, back in 2020, individuals who had TPS and who were TPS holders who were traveling back and forth and they were using their advance parole, if they departed after August 20th, 2020, they were not able to use their travel back into the United States in order to meet that qualification for adjustment of status, which is you have to show that you were inspected and admitted. So that travel didn't count. But and I think we discussed this already, certainly in the Spanish show, there has been a reversal of that. So if you left the country, if you have TPS and you left the country and you have, you return back with your advance parole, that will count as that inspection and admitted requirement for adjustment of status. So if you're trying to get your green card through a spouse, so that is a positive update.
Yeah, and then there's another one, and I mean, what do you think about the ICE is going after folks again? Under the administration, the current administration, things got a bit laxed, and people could breathe again, and those that were here, without status, undocumented, and there was the PD memo that was recently pulled back. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, for the last year or so, our clients who had prior deportation orders, they were either left alone. They weren't, I'm talking about ICE, they weren't messing around with them, or they weren't deporting them. They were able to stay here. Some of them had to report to ICE periodically just to check in and make sure that they're still here and that they're complying. And while they're able to live with their family, be able to work in some instances. So what happened is that if you all recall about the issue with prosecutorial discretion, this whole issue about can the government prioritize its policies to focus only on those serious cases as opposed to those low-level cases, this includes executing deportation orders, right? Because there's a lot of individuals here who don't have status, who are deportable, and there's some individuals as well who already have been deported. So what do we do with them? We don't have resources to deport or place people in proceedings all at once. So Mayorkas, the Department of Homeland Security, pretty much set out these policies saying, look, we're only going to focus on serious situations as opposed to situations where it's not that bad or it's not that serious. They're not going to waste their resources on that. So the Supreme Court a couple of weeks ago said that it temporarily said it will put in place this order, this lower court order that says that the Biden administration that they can't do these priorities, that they have to carry out the law. And so when that happened, we were all concerned that now ICE is going to start executing those orders of deportation. And there was this interesting news article in the LA Times that mentioned that some individuals who have to report to ICE for these routine checkups or check-ins, I should say, rather than saying, "Hey, I'm here," and being given a date in the future to come back, they are being placed under arrest and being detained, and they're being deported. And so this is something that we have to watch out for. It's not happening everywhere, but there's been some increased reports about that occurring. And personally, we've been seeing that too in our practice. We've been seeing individuals that before immigration would release, or that they would not be placed in immigration proceedings after a traffic stop or after something where they were placed in jail, and immigration learns that they're there. We've been seeing more and more individuals being placed on hold, being given this ICE hold, and so we worry that these policies that were in place last year that were flexible, that allowed individuals to be here, it's going to be interesting what happens. We're seeing ICE enforce these deportation orders at the very least, and so we're seeing more activity.
Yeah, what I can tell you is it's troubling, because this was exactly the reason back in 2018, when we're building our platform called Lawpilot, and when the prior administration started to enforce these priorities, and enforce removal of people, we decided to add an app, a mobile app called Lawpilot Guardian, and that was specifically for these situations where people all of a sudden were very scared, and they didn't know who to turn to, and so our app came in very handy, and so again we're seeing an uptick of these alerts that are coming in because people are scared. They are being pulled over, and they're just not. They really don't know what's going to happen if they get pulled over. Whether they'll get handed over to ICE again. And so this is and I think we have the the QR code. This is basically the app. It had a little facelift recently. It is a fantastic resource as well for people to know how to react in these situations when they get pulled over, what to say, what not to say, whether it's while they're driving, whether it's while they're at work, whether they're at home. So they can read or listen to these advisories, and also has pre-recorded statements. So if you have a user who does not speak English or simply does not want to speak to the law enforcement officer, they can just press the button and it will play it for them. And it also records the conversation that they are having with the person, with the law enforcement. And it also allows us, or any attorney who is providing the service, to find that person, to locate that person through GPS locator on the maps. And so you and I are on the response team as well, and we typically respond in seconds. We can see them, we can locate them, and we have an idea of, once the audio uploads, we know where they are through GPS and who they are speaking with and what's going on, to see if they need our assistance. And so that's that peace of mind that everybody that has it expresses, that if something happens to them, the families don't have to go online and search for immigration attorneys. But if they have a relationship with a law firm, like in our case, they know that when they tap that emergency button, then there will be a response, and then we can react. And especially in cases where there is a prior order, you have to react very, very quickly. And so having the person's history and background and the notes from consultation, it just gives us a leg up. And so whenever we saw this decision and this kind of pullback on the PD memo, we've seen an uptick in the use. And so again, I recommend for those that don't have it, or you don't have to be our client, you can just sign up, and then you can reach out to us, and we can consult with you to kind of get your immigration history, and we're happy that you'll have a peace of mind knowing that if anything happens, we'll be able to respond very quickly. There's something else which is also positive news, and that's a proposed ID. It's called the Secure Docket Card that is currently being brought before Congress, and I believe it should be launched in fiscal year 2023. And it's basically a kind of like an ID card, which will have a QR code, a biographical information, a photograph with that, and it will be issued to migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. So it's a pilot program. It may be expanded beyond that geographical area, but I think it's a great idea, because it's going to allow people, the carrier of the card, to be able to check a website which is currently being developed about reporting to ICE, about their court hearings, really, really good things. And at the same time, it should be accepted by TSA for travel throughout the U.S. So I think that's a pretty positive development. There were some privacy concerns from the ACLU. From ACLU side, I believe there was a Republican congressman who said that they don't want to see another tax dollar spent on this, and what they want to see is send these people back. And so There's a lot of different policies in different states, and you have these migrants that move to different states or maybe bus to different states, like is in the case of our governor. And here, they may not have the same type of IDs, or the authorities may not accept certain types of IDs, and this would be a uniform ID that's going to contain the necessary information. So even if these agents, when they scan it, they'll know exactly who it is about, and they'll be able to then they'll check to see, if they have any prior immigration history, any prior removal orders. And so I think it's a pretty good deal. This new the secure docket card.
Yeah, I agree. It contains information. It'll have access to their file. So if an individual who is in deportation proceedings and is looking to speak with an immigration lawyer, they can get this card, and conceptually, the lawyer would be able to get all that information they need. A lot of times our clients come in and they give us some information. They don't have the whole picture. And some of the information they have, it's bad information because they misunderstand the process. Some of them do. And so this would be very helpful for us.
Yeah, because typically they're just giving, sometimes several papers, and they may get worn out or lost, and then that's it. We ask people that we consult with, what documentation do you have? Well, I had it. This is what it said, or I think this is what it said, and I lost it. So this will be a really good thing. Now, yeah, government technology, it hasn't been the best experience, but hopefully this will be a step up, and will improve overall communication between the migrants at the border and DHS and ICE. You want to talk about the lawsuits as the backlog continue?
Yeah, there was this article, and it was an article in Bloomberg talking about the number of lawsuits that are filed against immigration. Department of Homeland Security, the department that is in charge of processing applications for immigration benefits, and what popped out for me was that there's this 6,000 lawsuits filed within the past year or so, and that is due because the long processing times. It's due because immigration doesn't have resources to process these applications. They're very sluggish, and in some cases, our clients have been waiting for years. Some of them don't have to do anything with COVID. It was really after COVID we saw processing times extend, but even before that, there were some cases like applications for conditional permanent residency, I-751, the petition to remove, that has always been it's always taken a long time to process. And the immigration came out with some creative solutions to try to remedy that. But I think that's a kind of an eye popper. And we filed these types of lawsuits in our practice when clients have applications that have been taking longer than normal. And that is something that we do consider. If it's taking too long and the person and our client is being hurt by this delay, sometimes in an employment context, individuals can't work for certain employers. They can't secure certain jobs. And in other contexts, people can't reunite with their family members. And so if it takes too long, and the law, you'll see this term being tossed around, unreasonable delay. If it's unreasonable delay, if there is unreasonable delay, then you could have a case against the government to file what's called a writ of mandamus in court to try to force the government to make a decision on the case. Leading up to that, there are certain measures that we take. We inquire with the agency. We try to figure out what's going on, maybe see if we could get them to agree to make a decision before we have to elevate the situation and file a lawsuit. But I thought that was eye-popping.
Yeah, no, certainly. That's a high number of cases. And now we get to the registry discussion again. I think we talked about it several months ago. When we were at Plan A and Plan B and Plan C, and then we had the Senate parliamentarian just basically trash it. So we have another attempt at a legislation which would basically make its way through. I mean, this is a House proposal. I believe there's 46 Democrats in the Senate that support it. And that is registry for people that have been in the U.S. For 7 years to be able to apply for lawful permanent residence. It was, I believe, the last time, I think the registry date. So this is basically a law that's on the books, has been on the books since the 20s for a long time. It advanced the basically date, the cutoff date, like you had to have been here by this time. And so the last time that there was a push was back in '86, and you had to have been in the U.S. by January 1st of 1972. So you can see that it's been a rather long time, talking about 36 years. And so, not everybody, but most people would qualify. We're talking about, I think, 10 million or so people that I saw in these statistics, and perhaps more. But basically, you have to show that you have been here for 7 years, that you have a good moral character, you have not been convicted of certain certain crimes. And I believe this bill would create a rolling registry, so that would be continuous, and so they wouldn't have to go back and 1 year later or 2 years later, amend it. But it would be that's how I understood the policy, the bill, the proposal, that it would basically just roll. So if you've been here for 7 years without status, you would be eligible. What do you think? What do you think about the idea?
It sounds great, doesn't it? There are some other requirements to that, but it does sound great, and it seems easy to do, because really you just have to change some words on the existing law that we have, because registry is still alive. People don't realize that it's I think the numbers have dwindled down. There were thousands and thousands of people who were applying. They have applied throughout the years. And as you can imagine, as we grow older, and now we're in the 2020s, you're going to find less and less people. And I think maybe 10 years ago, there was just a couple of hundred people who were applying. So it's going to be a dinosaur. It's going to be obsolete. And they're just trying to renew that. But again, it faces strong opposition, and we're back to square one in the sense, because we're now having to deal with the things that we discussed previously in other shows about having to overcome the votes that are required. I mean, we need 60 votes for the filibuster, and that's it's gonna hit. I don't see any changes right now, or any changes in discussions or change at heart from any of the senators who previously opposed it. So not to sound pessimistic, it does seem like we're barking up the wrong tree again, but it at least creates some discussion about immigration, which could lead to other discussions about dreamers. Who knows, something could pass for them. There's certainly consensus between those parties, among the public. I mean, there's overwhelming support for legislation specifically to help those who are here with DACA, the dreamers. And so again, we'll see what happens. And again, we'll send you information if we hear about anything that is worthy. If there's some news, we'll send it to you. And we'll also use our app to send you that information.
What do you think of the argument, Nick, on the rolling registry? And again, I always like to play devil's advocate and look at it from the other side, because we hear it quite often. When you have the rolling registry, I mean, when when there is any type of immigration reform proposal, I mean, this is something akin to it. And there's a cutoff date, just like with DACA, there was a cutoff date. And so you have the right basically argue that, well, it's just going to, entice more people and encourage more people to come here without inspection, without any status. If you make it rolling, I mean, that's even going to feed into that argument, right? Like, you pretty much, like, you come in here, you kind of live here undetected for 7 years, you stay put, you have a good moral character, you don't commit any crimes, and hey, in 7 years you're guaranteed a temporary or permanent residence.
Yeah, I think there's two things. There's this idea that individuals, immigrants, migrants who are coming up to the United States don't understand that it's rolling. There's an announcement about a change in the law. There's this notion that they would only, at least the information that is made up their way, transferred to them, I guess, through coyotes or through other people, they'll get it as there's some change in, there's an immigration reform and you could qualify, so come up. And that's one fear that has been expressed by those who are opposing it. And then the other part of it, of course, it's political. They know that this is rolling, that there shouldn't be any incentive, but they don't care. As long as it's immigration reform, they'll say it's the same as amnesty, and they'll use that word repeatedly in order to get votes.
Yeah, well, the article basically referenced to the tough go, uphill battle, because we got to have the 60 votes to break the filibuster, which is unlikely. Plus, being in the midterms a few months out. So again, that generally does not happen, but all we can do is just hope. There are a couple of other updates, and one recently just came through today. Humanitarian parolees, those that were granted parole, can now apply for a work permit online. Again, USCIS.gov has that information. There are a couple of exceptions. So if you are, for example, from Afghanistan, you have parole, and you are seeking a waiver of the fees, of the filing fees, then you have to do it. You have to mail it in. But otherwise, you are now able to apply for the work permit, for the EAD, employment authorization document, online. Another update was, especially for the Afghanis, from the parolees from Afghanistan. So before, when they were applying for the special immigrant visa, they had to go through the Department of State as step one, then apply for the application through the USCIS. And now it's basically just one step, and that is applying for the special immigrant visa through the form DS-157, and it's done with the Department of State. And another bulletin that came through today was that once you're in the U.S. and you have the parole status, you have to update your address with USCIS, and you do it online. It's the form is AR-11, and you do it anytime you move. So if you're a non-citizen, you are required to to update your address within 10 days. So whether you are a student, a resident, lawful permanent resident, conditional permanent resident, that's what you have to do. You have to update your address. And then there was another policy that, or a kind of bulletin from USCIS that went out, and that was for STEM professionals. And those are your professionals or students or recent graduates or graduates with STEM degrees. And those are degrees in sciences, technology, engineering, and math. And they had some new guidance for the STEM students who may be eligible to apply for the O1, the Extraordinary Ability Visa, with their experience and degree in STEM. And so that's also a welcome development, because a lot of graduates, or I would say most of the graduates, apply for the H-1B, the specialty occupation visa, which is a highly sought after status after someone graduates. So they have the option to apply for a work permit and optional practical training 1 year. If you have a STEM degree, you can apply for additional extended for another 2 years. And while they are on the OPT or STEM OPT, they work with an employer who then throws in their hat and their registration for the H-1B process. It is extremely limited at 65,000 visas for bachelor degrees and additional 20,000 for advanced degrees. We got to close to 500,000 registration this year, so you can see that the chances are fairly smaller or have gotten smaller over the years. And so have the ability for the STEM graduates to apply for the O1 Extraordinary Ability Visa is also a great opportunity and an alternative if they don't get selected in the H-1B lottery. So I think those are pretty much our updates that we wanted to run by you. I think we're at 1,400 YouTube followers, 1,500. I think we've actually got monetized, so we're able to earn ka-ching from these shows. So we really appreciate all the followers. Please click to follow, like us on Facebook, and please follow us, subscribe to the channel, so we could provide you with breaking news and a candid discussion about any topics. We're pretty quick in responding to questions, and of course, I think right now we're offering most of our consultations that are free, are complimentary. So use those links and use the links in the comments, or just simply go to keyvisa.com, KEYVISA.com to sign up to receive newsletters. And in fact, we're going to have one going out in a couple of hours. That's also a weekly newsletter. Sign up for the Lawpilot Guardian. If you don't have it, you will also get breaking news through push notifications. So it's just a fantastic tool. If you have another immigration attorney, you watch our show, but you are being serviced and advised by somebody else, talk to them into signing up for Lawpilot Guardian for the law firm. So then they can offer the same support that we offer to all of our clients and prospective clients. So anyways, we are so happy that you guys are following us and subscribe to our channel. We are happy that we hit that 1,000 follower mark. Hopefully we'll get to 2,000 and soon 5,000 and 10,000. So Nick and I can retire earlier.
Awesome. Send comments and questions. We'd like to hear your feedback. We always want to know how we can improve, so keep doing that. If you have any questions, we're here to help.
That's it. Signing off.
Signing.